Welcome back to my channel The Psych Lens. In today's video, we are going to explore one of the most important and foundational theories in psychology, that is Sigmund Freud's psychoanalytic theory, specifically how it applies to child psychology. Freud's theory changed the way people think about the human mind, and he was among the first to suggest that childhood experiences and unconscious desires shape who we become. Although some parts of the theory have been challenged or updated over time, Freud's ideas still provide valuable insights into child psychology and continue to influence both therapy and education today. Let's dive deep into the psychoanalytic theory and understand what it says about the development of children. We'll explore how personality forms in early childhood, how the mind works according to Freud, and what stages children go through as they grow. We'll also look at why Freud believed early emotional experiences, both pleasant and traumatic, leave lasting effects on our personality. Freud believed that human mind is made up of three different parts that constantly interact and influence our behavior: the id, the ego, and the superego. These three elements form the structure of personality. The id is present from birth. It is the primitive part of our mind, driven entirely by instincts and desires. It operates on what Freud called the pleasure principle. It wants immediate gratification, no matter the consequences. For example, if a baby is hungry or uncomfortable, they cry without caring about the time or place. That's the id in action, pure impulse. As the child grows and starts to understand how the world works, the ego begins to develop. The ego is the rational part of the mind. It acts as a bridge between the unrealistic demands of the id and the limitations of reality. It operates on the reality principle, learning to wait, negotiate, or compromise. For example, a toddler might want a toy but realizes they must ask for it rather than grabbing it. The ego helps the child make more socially acceptable choices. Then comes the superego, which develops later in early childhood. The superego represents our sense of morality and conscience, often influenced by parents, caregivers, and society. It tells us what's right and wrong and pushes us to follow rules and feel guilt when we don't. For instance, a child might resist lying because they feel bad or ashamed, even if they won't get caught. The superego then acts like an internal parent, guiding our values and sense of right and wrong. These three parts, id, ego, and superego, are always in a state of internal conflict, especially in children as they learn to balance their desires with what is expected of them. Freud believed that this ongoing conflict is what shapes our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Freud also introduced the concept of psychosexual stages, five stages that he believed every child goes through as they grow. Each stage focuses on a different area of the body as a source of pleasure and psychological development. If a child's needs are neither unmet or overindulged at any stage, Freud believed they could develop a fixation that affects them later in life. The first stage is the oral stage, which occurs from birth to around 1 year. During this time, the influence pressure centers on the mouth. Sucking, eating, and exploring objects with the mouth brings satisfaction. If a child is weaned too early or too late, Freud believed they might develop habits such as nail biting, smoking, or overeating in adulthood. Next is the anal stage from about 1 to 3 years old. This stage is centered around toilet training. Children learn to control their bodily functions, and how parents approach toilet training plays a big role. If parents are too strict, a child may become excessively orderly and obsessed with cleanliness, something Freud called anal-retentive. If parents are too relaxed, the child may grow up to be messy or irresponsible, referred to as anal-expulsive. The third is the phallic stage between 3 and 6 years old. During this period, children become more aware of their bodies and the differences between sexes. Freud proposed that boys experiences something called as the Oedipus complex, that is, a subconscious desire for their mother and jealousy towards their father. Girls, he believed, go through similar concept called as Electra complex, feeling attraction towards their father. While these ideas are controversial, Freud used them to explain how children develop gender identity and the foundation of the superego. After this intense stage, the latency period begins, lasting from about 6 years until puberty. During latency, children's sexual urges are quiet and their focus shifts to school, their friendship, their hobbies, and learning social rules. It is a time of emotional calm and intellectual development, according to Freud. Finally, in adolescence, the genital stage begins. Sexual feelings return, but now they are directed towards others in a more mature way. If all earlier stages were navigated successfully, the individual will now be able to form healthy relationships, handle responsibility, and contribute to society. Another key idea in Freud's theory is that the mind is like an iceberg. Most of it is hidden beneath the surface. He believed that a large part of our mind operates unconsciously, storing unresolved conflicts, painful memories, and unacceptable thoughts. These unconscious elements influence our behavior even if we are not aware of them. When internal conflict between the ego and superego becomes too intense, the ego tries to protect the mind using what Freud called defense mechanisms. These are unconscious mental strategies that reduce anxiety. Children often use defense mechanisms without realizing it. For example, a child might regress, that is, going back to earlier behavior such as bedwetting, when stressed by a new sibling, or they might use denial, that is, refusing to believe that pet has died. Repression, projection, and displacement are other examples of how the mind tries to avoid emotional pain by pushing it out of the conscious awareness or redirecting it elsewhere. These defense mechanisms are seen not only in childhood but throughout the life. Although Freud's psychoanalytic theory has been criticized for lacking scientific evidence and for placing too much emphasis on sexuality, his ideas fundamentally change how we understand childhood. Before Freud, children were often seen as miniature adults, but he argued that children are psychologically different and that early experiences shape the entire course of development. Today, we don't accept every part of Freud's theory, but many of his core ideas remain valuable. The idea that early relationships matter, that emotional conflicts start in childhood, and the unconscious mind influences behavior has laid the foundation for modern psychotherapy, child counseling, and educational psychology. Therapy is like play therapy, talk therapy, and attachment based interventions all owe something to Freud's influence. So, to sum it up, Freud's psychoanalytic theory was one of the first to truly explore how complex and emotional childhood developments can be. His concepts of the ego and superego, his 5 psychosexual stages, and his idea of unconscious conflict all give us a deeper understanding of how early life experience shape who we are. While not everything Freud proposed is accepted today, his work remains a powerful tool in understanding the emotional world of children. If you enjoyed this video of child psychology, be sure to like the video, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel for more psychology topics made simple. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next